Welcome to the Psychedelic Integration Podcast. We're your hosts, John Steiner
and Sinclair Fleetwood. We're experienced psychedelic guides, retreat facilitators, and keepers of the sacred fire on a mission to help you transform your mystical medicine experiences into a sustainable way of life.
Did you connect with a vision for your life through your work with plant medicines but have no idea how to make it happen?
Are you struggling to maintain your spiritual connection, find your community, and be fully yourself?
If you want to be unapologetically authentic, connect to your purpose, and live the life you know is possible, well then this podcast is for you.
Hey everyone, welcome to Season 2 of the Psychedelic Integration Podcast. We're really excited to be here with you at the beginning of 2022, a new year.
Woo!
A new year is cool because, well, even if you're like us and you're more of a solstice new year kind of person, the new year can be a nice time to really set some intentions for what you want this upcoming time of your life to look like and feel like, and what you want to put your time and energy into. Today we're going to take this opportunity to share a little bit about our philosophy with you, our psychedelic integration and transformation, our coaching philosophy, our life philosophy, the way that we choose to work with medicines, and the way that we help our clients work with medicines.
So we got talking about this, thinking that, well, ourselves and a lot of people we know come to medicines looking for healing. Mm-hmm. And we both thought healing was going to be one way. Mm-hmm. We thought that, well, I thought that the medicine was going to go in and shift some things around and remove some stuff that was malfunctioning and insert some new stuff, whether these were ideas or emotions or beliefs or something like that, that it was going to fix me up just like a mechanic fixes up a car and send me on my way, turn from a jalopy into a show car, and that was going to be that, and it was going to be no problem. The mechanic's going to do all the work, right? I'm just the car.
Yeah.
And what we've come to find out for ourselves is that the medicine has taught us how to live by spiritual principles, by virtues, to align our thoughts, attitudes, beliefs, behaviors with our hearts and to what is holy, good, and true in there. And when we do that, that in and of itself is healing. When we hold that vibration, then disease, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional disease, has a really hard time taking hold and becoming part of that vibration.
It's funny, the medicine is like, kind of tricks you. It gets us to advertise for it. It's like this, it's a ancient consciousness. So the medicines are like, how can we get these silly humans to remember that they are divine spirits, and but they feel bad because they're out of alignment with the divine plan for their lives and like the reason that they came down into this life to begin with. Well, maybe we'll tell them that ayahuasca will heal everything that's wrong with their life if they just go to one retreat. If they fly down to South America and they have this experience, then everything will be fixed and they won't have to do anything. They love not doing anything. They love not doing anything.
Oh, yeah.
And so that was the same for me. Not not doing anything. I knew enough about it to know that it was going to be an intense experience and a profound experience that I was going to really need to show up for.
Yeah, but the human part of us can still hope.
Yeah.
Still cross our fingers, hope this won't be too much work.
But I really did not understand fully the long-term, it's a lifelong process for me. Huh. And I think that happens to a lot of people. It definitely happens to a lot of people that we end up working with as their coaches. And the thing that is the bait and switch, right, is we expect it to work like Western medicine. We expect to come with our problems and our pain and our suffering, and we expect to take a medicine and poof, it's the symptoms are gone and we're all good. And that's really not how it works at all.
Well, in Western medicine, a lot of times we look at the the symptoms as the cause, the symptoms as the like end all be all. If we can get these symptoms from showing up, then that equals cure. No symptoms, right?
Right.
And what we've come to find out, at least for ourselves and for, well, a lot of people have shared with us for themselves as well, is that these symptoms are messengers, and they can show up in a lot of different ways. They can show up as physical illness. They can show up as like some emotional patterning or trauma we're holding on to, or anxiety or depression, or feeling lost or disconnected or purposeless or directionless, or any
addicted. That was
addicted. Yeah. Or like this nagging feeling that something just isn't quite right, And what we've come to find out for ourselves is that, these are, well, sometimes, especially with the help of the medicine, our spirit can speak in a language we can understand with words to us. And a lot of times in our day-to-day, it gets our attention through these things, these anxieties, these depressions, these searching for more deeper meaning and purpose, searching for direction, searching for clarity, this feeling that something's off. And we've come to find out that these symptoms aren't the issue. Those are effects from some underlying cause. And, well, the medicine can help us to address that cause. And when we address the cause, we go upstream and figure out why we're falling in the river. We don't have to pull ourselves out of the river later on.
So that's sort of how people are called to work with psychedelic medicines. It can be any of these things, but like John said, it's something, your alarms are going off, the bells are ringing, and it's natural for you to want to turn off the alarm. Like, nothing is worse than an alarm. You're like, oh my God, please turn that off. If that wasn't happening, my life would be fine. If I wasn't anxious, everything would be great. If I wasn't completely overcome with depression every day of my life, I would have a great life. And you think that this, if I didn't have this drinking problem, or, if I only, if I didn't have this illness. And what the truth is that the illness or the addiction or the anxiety or the thing that feels wrong in your life is the coping mechanism that your spirit has sent to you to deal with the root cause of whatever is going on. So for a lot of people, that goes back to childhood. There might be some trauma that you haven't dealt with. It's some kind of repressed emotion or something deep inside of you that didn't get felt or didn't get experienced or did get felt. Like maybe you had, a deep trauma that you're stuck, you're constantly stuck in. This is what PTSD looks like. The trauma response continues even though the trauma is over and you're safe. So these root causes create these effects, like John said, of these symptoms. And these are the alarms that are bringing people to plant medicine.
There's the alarms are like a messenger to let us know for whatever reason. It can be any number of reasons. Like Sinclair was talking about, maybe it's some trauma, maybe it's some programming, maybe it's some conditioning, maybe it's something in our pattern of being, our thoughts, our behaviors, our beliefs, our attitudes, the way we deal with our emotions, our perspectives, something in there. And it's going to vary from person to person, but something in there is out of alignment with our higher selves, with our soul, our spirit that's inside of us, that's more than is thinking in the long game. It's more than just this life. This is just one life, one breath of many breaths that the soul is going to take. And while our egos are concerned with what's going on in this life for us, that soul is trying to get our attention, it has its own purposes. It has its own way of being. It has its own vibration that it's trying to help us to align ourselves to. And so these symptoms, these effects, these anxieties, depressions, etc., are our spirit, our soul's way of tapping us on the shoulder and saying, hey, you're out of alignment with me. So something, somewhere in that pattern of existence has got to adjust, because it doesn't feel good to be out of alignment with our truest and deepest part of ourselves.
So for a lot of people, myself included, we don't even know there is a higher calling or a higher consciousness or a higher spirit. I went through a long period of my life where I was an atheist. I didn't believe in... I was an atheist because I was very against organized religion, specifically Christianity, because that's what I grew up in and felt oppressed by, which I think a lot of people have difficult experiences with religion that, repress or judge or ostracize some part of themselves, maybe your sexuality or they tell you who to love. And there's all of these kind of rules and dogma in religion that create a cage feeling of, okay, if I don't believe in this like story of divinity, then I'm going to go burn in hell. Like, I just rejected all of that. So I rejected the whole thing. And the medicines were the first time in my life where I felt connected to a higher consciousness, a higher being, a higher power, the source, whatever you want to call it, God. It interrupted my regularly scheduled programming and removed the veil. And these are terms that people use when they talk about the psychedelic experience. It's like it like lifts the veil so that you can see clearly. And what you see is that life is eternal. This is just one aspect of consciousness experiencing itself, and we're all one, and love is the religion of everything. And so this, that's kind of one of the first things that happens when you take medicines is, and this doesn't happen for everyone on the first try or anything like that, but something that is very common to the psychedelic and the sacred psychedelic experience is this deep understanding that you are not alone. You are part of this divine plan, and you are a divine being of light. You are a light incarnate in a physical body.
And I also felt like when I had that felt experience, that if I could sit in this vibration all the time, then I wouldn't have any symptoms. I wouldn't be depressed. I wouldn't be anxious. I wouldn't be everything felt just so perfect. And it was at least for me, it felt like a carrot on the end of a stick, okay, it can feel like this. If you do the work to adjust yourself to it every day. It didn't feel like like you were talking about religion, some outside force pushing onto me. This is how it is. It felt like this wellspring of truth coming out from within myself, telling me that this is available to you if you adjust yourself to it. And I don't know, I thought it would be really nice. After having that experience, I thought, now that I felt that, I'm just going to magically adjust myself to it. And all of these ways that my perspective needs shifting, they felt so clear and shifted in that moment that now they're just going to be shifted. My thought patterns are going to be, this is how they're going to be forever. I'm not going to feel any other emotions except for love, because it felt so powerful in that moment.
How could you ever forget that?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And then sure enough, when the experience was over, 30 years of programming and living in a different way sunk in, and I returned back to my old habits. Now, before I was doing the old habits with an unawareness that it could be different. It just was the way things are. And then when I came back, it was like, I'm doing it this way, and I felt how good the other way could be, and I was like, oh my God, there's this wide chasm between the way I'm thinking, acting, feeling, behaving, believing, and where I could be, where it just feels like bliss and love all the time. How do I get over there?
Right. How do you bridge the chasm?
Yeah.
Well, and that's like kind of the first part of, we were talking about, we have a coaching philosophy, we have a medicine philosophy, and our program that we work with our clients in is called Rise and Align. And so the first part of our program is the rise part, the bridging of this chasm between the mystical experience, the clarity and connection that you feel when you sit with these medicines. You feel the purpose for your life. You feel the light that is, it's not something you have to go out and find. It's inside of you all the time. And again, like, it's removing this veil and seeing clearly and raising your vibration out of, all of the turmoil and suffering and pain that you get stuck in, and saying, oh, I have a choice. I have a choice to do good to myself. I have a choice to treat myself kindly. I have a choice to choose compassion and love and tenderness and kindness and all of these, like, things that we all agree are in the love, gratitude, joy spectrum of of life. And one of the things that happened to me that was so profound to really illustrate this point is, if you've been listening to our podcast or you follow us at all, you know that I used to drink a lot. And when I went to ayahuasca, I had stopped drinking. I had been sober for about 6 months when I first started working with the medicine. And one of the earlier ceremonies I had, I asked ayahuasca, can you please take away this addiction so that I never, ever, ever have to worry about this again? Like, I'm done with it. And I would also like for you to just come in and just, sweep that out of me, make sure I don't ever go back to that. And the medicine told me, no, I won't take your addiction away. What I will tell you is that you get to choose not to drink alcohol. And the understanding that it was my choice, that this was there, and I, instead of going down that old pathway, that old path of least resistance with alcohol as a coping mechanism that no longer served me, that did not work for me, that was hurting me, I got to choose to forge a new path. And holy shit, it was so empowering to get that choice. Because if the medicine had taken that away from me, it wouldn't have given me that power. It actually, if the medicines did work like that, it would be very disempowering. That's because right. We wouldn't learn anything. We wouldn't grow. We would just be like putting a Band-Aid on it or something. It's just so much more powerful when you see the alignment, you see the vibration that you want to hold, and you step into that power.
It's not the medicines, it's not the shamans, it's not anyone else. All of these things are creating a space for us to find our own power and to make our own choices. And yeah, so we have this, we've risen and seen what a new vibration can be with the medicine. And we make a choice to align ourselves to it. And especially like right after the experience, we're like, I'm aligned.
That's the pink cloud, right?
Yeah, and it feels great. And there's like, in our minds, there's no way that we're going to fall into that old behavior because this experience was so powerful. It felt more true and real and right than anything ever has.
This is where you're walking around your life, like praying over people, blessing them with your divine, like, light vibrations. You're like, good vibes only.
And then reality starts to kick in, and 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, however long it's been, your lifetime of doing it one way starts to, we have some momentum in this direction. And, well, it's like a water running down a mountain. When the water, it rains, the water hits the mountain, it's been raining on that mountain for 20, 40, 60 years, however long it's been.
20,000 years.
It's cut a deep ravine into this mountain, and the water always flows in the same way. And that way, we know what leads at the bottom of the mountain in that direction. It's depression, it's anxiety, it's addiction, it's frustration, it's anger, it's jealousy, it's judgment, whatever it is. We know where that water leads. And we're like, I want to go to the other side of the mountain. I want to be in compassion and joy and peace and abundance and love and gratitude and all these wonderful things that we felt. So, well, the aligning part looks like digging a new trench. And digging a 50-year deep trench is tough, but the new trench has to be deeper, so the water will choose that automatically. And it's a tough to dig because, okay, we're playing catch up on however our lifetime was up until this realization. So we're digging and we're digging. And at first, all the digging doesn't seem like it's doing much of anything, actually. And it can feel frustrating and it can feel exhausting. It can feel like, why am I digging?
It feels lonely, too, because people are expecting the old route to happen. Like, people in your life don't recognize why are you doing this? Like, what are you doing? Why are you changing? Why are you switching to this new, like, you're spending all this time digging holes we don't understand.
Right. So you keep digging. Yeah. And if you're blessed and fortunate and you remember why you're digging, maybe you get some support while you're digging, you keep digging and keep digging. And then all of a sudden a little trickle of water starts to come down this new way. And before you know it, as you keep digging, and as that water, once the first water starts to flow that way, it will start to cut. And you can help it with some digging, and the water's cutting, and you're digging, and it just exponentially goes until all of a sudden, just like the crack in the dam will eventually break the dam, that water will inevitably and eventually go down the new course if we stay our course on our digging. And that's what we wanted to do this work, because we know from experience how lonely, how tiring, how frustrating doing that digging can be, especially alone. It's easy to, at least for us, to forget why am I digging? I'm tired, I'm exhausted, the water's already going that way, can't it just go that way? I need a break, I need some support, I need some encouragement.
Nobody understands. Is there a map? Like, that's what I always ask. I'm like, hasn't someone done this before? This seems really hard to figure out all on my own without, maybe I want to make sure that I'm making a good path on this other side of the mountain. Like, there's this idea that you just have to figure it all out on your own. And that if you didn't get all the healing that you need in your ceremony or your session or, whatever your psychedelic experience was, like, good luck looking up, watching YouTube videos and following Instagram accounts where everyone seems to be perfectly healed all the time. Like, nobody's in the trenches with it. Everybody's just like, okay, love and light, like, I work with medicines and now I live in Costa Rica on like some intentional community. And like, that's awesome for people who have that experience. But for most of us, the experience is we live in a country that is actively trying to kill us by programming us to be afraid of each other and be afraid of being alive and like be afraid of everything. And
you're a lot easier to sell products to when your stream is going down the fear side of the mountain.
Yeah, and the media that you consume actively tries to fill in the new path that you're digging. It wants to fill it in with fear and worry and scarcity and lack and all of the opposite of the things that you want. Like, don't try to change careers because you'll lose your health insurance and you won't be able to make it. So you better stay and do what's safe and like do what you're supposed to, because don't rock the boat, like don't try to dig this new tunnel. You can't, like, this new path, you can't. So
we created this program to encourage you, to support you while you're digging this path, to be there to let you know, like, sometimes the most efficient way to cut this path is to take some rest from it. you know? I think of this story. There's 2 men in a wood cutting contest, and they get challenged. They're lumberjacks, and someone's like, "Who can cut the most wood here?" And there's a young guy and an old man, and say, well, cut the most trees down in an hour. And they say, go! And the young man takes off, just swinging, chop, 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 chop. And the old man's just sitting there, ain't moving much. He's just sitting there and sitting there and sitting there. And the young man's looking at him like, oh, I got this in the bag. I'm going to smoke this dude. I'm over here chopping, 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 chopping. And he keeps on chopping and chopping and chopping. And he goes off in some other direction, lose sight of the old man. They blow the whistle, they come back, and they're like, young man, how many did you get? And he's like, I chopped 7 trees. And they're like, good. Old man, how many did you get? He said, I got 13. And the young man looked at the old man and said, you sat there for at least the first half hour. How did you beat me? He said, I spent the first half hour sharpening my axe. So it's good when we're digging this ditch for the new water to go down the mountain, to do it in an efficient and smart way. So it's nice to have fellow trench diggers alongside of you to say, like, hey, yo, look out for doing it that way. That way it might might be a little difficult.
It's so nice to have a structure, like a support system and a foundation for moving through this passage. Because it's like a rite of passage. And, we don't have the old rites of passage that our ancestors had. These new psychedelic experiences and this psychedelic awakening, these are our rites of passage. And having a guide with you through the process to act as your integration buddy, your spirit seeker, and your mirror is invaluable on the path of not only rising into your potential and rising into your power and rising into the life that spirit wants you to live, that's bigger than whatever you have decided. We talk about little you and big you, and like little you is sort of, the plan that you had for yourself before you woke up, before you started to align with your heart, and before you really connected to walking a spiritual path. And then the big you is the spiritual you, the ancient consciousness that is your whole being, that you're part of here in this body on this earth. And that's something that is really, kind of universal in a lot of medicine culture. This idea that we incarnate and, there's a spirit that lives inside of you that's guiding you and leading you and talking to you. And we talk about intuition. Intuition is being connected to this spirit and this, we call it divine plan. You can call it God, whatever.
It's you.
It's you. It's big you and little you are you.
We're not humans who have a spirit. We're spirits who are humans for a little bit.
Yeah.
It's the real you.
Yeah. Your highest self, whatever terminology resonates with you. And, there's lots of paths to working with psychedelics, especially in modern times. It's like, it's getting very medicalized, and there's all kinds of ways that people come to medicines. But the people that we are talking to specifically are people who understand this, like, profound truth that this life, we're here to follow a spiritual path, to grow, to align ourselves with our heart, and to fulfill the path that spirit has in mind for you.
And that path is so, at least for me, is so much more grand and beautiful and fulfilling and joyous and loving than anything that the little me could even conceive of.
Well, we kind of keep it small, right? We're like, a lot of our dreams are material based, and that's okay. That we're not saying that you shouldn't have, dreams to care for yourself and have abundance in your life, and it can be making money and doing whatever like your heart is called to do. That's all good and fine. And how can you take what you learn and take this clarity and this deep spiritual connection that you receive from working with medicines, because this is a privilege to get to have, this experience. Not everybody has access to this. And if you are in a place where you get to work with medicines and it's something that you resonate with and it's continuing to come into your life, you're a privileged person and coming
up.
Like, take this and use it not just for little me, but for everyone. Like, what are you doing in your life to create more abundance for other people?
One of my elders says, if you're lucky enough to encounter this medicine, hold on for dear life. Get behind it. Let it lead the way. Mm-hmm. And everyone I've seen do that has had real beautiful results in their life.
So that's kind of the other part of the work that we do, is like creating practices that ground you in this material world, in this reality, and give you a foundation to align your life with your heart, align with big you, align with your spirit, create more joy, create more abundance, create more love, be the you that has been hiding underneath, your pain and your suffering, because that is your unique medicine that you have to share with the world.
That pain and suffering, the symptom, all the stuff we were talking about at the beginning, the trauma, the addiction, the anxiety, depression, the anger, whatever, that little stuff is the crack where the big you crawls out through. Mm-hmm. So
it's like the source of your power. And all of those things that you've been through and experienced and overcome and found resilience, and like the trauma that you heal enables you to help others heal. Like everything that you overcome and work through in yourself, you will be able to exponentially help other people do that for themselves. And that is the like teach a man to fish, thing with spirituality. Is it's not, being a healer is not about taking someone else's pain and taking their suffering, and by your presence you're like taking something from them and taking it on yourself. It's not about that. It's inspiring people to stand in their own power.
That's right.
It's how ayahuasca told me, no, you get to choose not to drink. Your ability to help people understand that they have a choice too, and you standing in your own gift, whatever that is. If you're meant to, some people's gift is like they're amazing at accounting. And I'm laughing about this because
that's neither one of our gifts.
No, we do not have this gift. But like inspiring people who want to have spiritual like livelihoods and helping them keep track of the financial side is a gift. And people who are working in that area and like inspiring other people to be able to start businesses and carry them on because of their gift at accounting. This is just an example, but it's like whatever your work, your livelihood is, when it's aligned with your heart, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be a shaman. You don't have to sit in a chair and give people medicine. That's not the calling for everyone. Not everybody can be the shaman. Please do not everyone try to be the shaman, because
if we had a world full of only shamans, it would be a fucking disaster.
Yeah, it would not be good. Like it would be probably really hard. Because everybody would be like singing and there would be no, accountants.
Yeah.
One of our elders used to do marketing or something. I think he has a degree in marketing, like one of our main shaman people. And when he told us that, we were like, thank God you're not doing marketing. Like you should not be doing that. You should be sitting
But some
in that
people
chair.
are, and it's not the work. It's what you do with the work that aligns it with your calling, with your higher self, with your service to humanity, to the greater good. So we know that. Well, we know the joys of rising and aligning, and the work that goes along with it, and we really want to help you rise into your power and align with it and walk with it into the rest of your life.
And what that looks like is, what are you doing every day to remind yourself to be connected to your spirit? What are you doing every day in your life to reconnect when you get off center, when you get out of balance? And what we teach in our in our container is how to do that, how to stay connected to the spirit, how to stay connected to spirit, how to stay connected to this mystical experience that you had, how to overcome your limiting beliefs, how to challenge these stories that you have about, whatever your past story is, and take all of these things that have happened in the past and transform them into a new story.
So as you come away from your medicine experience with a vision for your life, for a direction you want to walk in, for a new bearing on your compass, there's a path set out in front of you to start walking in that direction. And what we want to do is walk that path with you. We want to take the rest with you when you need it. We want to help carry your pack when it gets a little heavy. We want to tell you what pitfalls to watch out for, and we want to accompany you on this journey. And we want you, after your time with us, to feel well-traveled on the path and feel confident and sure to step out on your own and walk the rest of the way that you need to for the rest of this life.
And all of the things that you've got in this pack are tools, practices, understandings, new awareness of yourself. And it's really your survival kit that you're taking with you as you move through your life with this new awareness and this new perspective. And learning how to use every tool in this survival kit, just how it works for you, the best that it works for you, is really the work that we do inside of our sacred container, inside of our coaching program. And our true goal is to inspire and accompany spiritual seekers and psychedelic visionaries and people who are called to be in service to themselves and humanity through sharing everything that you have inside of you with the world, because the world needs you to rise up into your gifts. The world needs your medicine, and the world needs you to take that dream and make it real. And it's absolutely possible to make anything happen in your life if you decide to put your time and energy and money into it. It's an important investment that you make into yourself to, like John was saying, sharpen your own tool, sharpen your own axe so that you can share your gifts and be the most authentic version of yourself that you can be. And the medicines are just a tool to do this. The work is so much more than that. It's so much bigger, and it's all inside of your own life and your own understanding of what the medicines mean to you and what your calling is and what your relationship is with these plants.
So thanks for listening to us today, and well, just know that there's a couple people out in the hill country of Texas who know that all these attitudes, beliefs, behaviors, thought patterns, emotions, everything that you're working towards rising to meet your highest version of and align yourself with it, there's two people out here in Texas praying for you with certainty that you will reach this goal. And we're here if you need anything along your journey.
Oh, and the best way to move forward, if you want to learn more about working with us in our coaching container, Rise and Align, is to book an alignment call with us so we can talk about if it's a good fit for you. So you can do that by visiting our website at mysticalheartcollective.com. See you next time.
Peace.